Right, ladies and gents, welcome to our 30th Free Friday Lunch webinar. Time flies when we're having fun. For 30 months now, we've been mostly providing you with topics of emotional wellness, leadership of ourselves, leadership of others. And today, a slightly different angle, if I can call it that, because it's got nothing to do necessarily with leadership. It might have something to do with emotional wellness, yes, but it's a little bit out of my normal scope of work. But I do believe and hope it will add value to your lives. Please note that the session is recorded. And then, for those of you who don't know me, I head up an organization called Soldati, where we believe in growing leaders and impacting results. Just very briefly, I would suggest you handle the content and specifically focus in relation to today's topic in those areas where you believe you are not where you would like to be in your life in relation to sleep and sleep quality as far as today is concerned. Please mute unless you want to ask a question at the end, preferably in the interest of time. I try and aim for more or less 27 minutes and then some time for Q&A at the end. Please mail me if you want me to add you to the distribution list. Here's a big please. The next point. Please mail me your future topics. At some point, I am going to start repeating topics or I'm going to run out of ideas. So I please need your assistance to tell me where are you finding challenges in your life, specifically in relation to leadership, self-leadership, leadership of others, leadership of teams, emotional wellness. Those are the things we typically focus on. This recorded session will be available at soldati.com. On our website rather, at the end of next week. And for those of you who missed previous sessions, just simply go to soldati.com under resources, insights. You will find all the previous webinars and lots of other good stuff, I believe, including blogs that I write. My disclaimer, as always, is I don't have the magic wand. Fortunately, I don't, because then I would have been so rich I would not have been able to do this, which I enjoy doing. I am here only to give you fresh perspectives around the topics that we cover and discuss in these webinars. And hopefully, I do believe and hope once again that it will then lead you to doing things differently better, to paving the way to do exactly that. I want to invite you to reflect, to stand still, not worrying about what you need to do next, because after all, we need to stop worrying about the things we cannot change in this moment. You are here now, so let's focus on this content. And I want to invite you to hold up the proverbial mirror and ask yourself, how can I improve for my sake, for my family's sake, and also for the sake of my colleagues, and frankly, wherever you operate in your life. Here's another invitation. Please pay it forward. If you know somebody that's finding some of the content challenging, please share it with them in the hope that you could also influence their life in a positive manner. So, quickly, my story. Wednesday evening, as I was preparing for or finalizing my presentation, I turned to Marley, my wife, and I said, I don't know why I'm doing this topic actually, because I'm not a sleep expert. And then she turned to me and she said, but you're the best guy to present this because you are battling to sleep. And maybe there's some truth in that. And I'm not the expert, but I'm going to share with you lots of knowledge and good stuff from the experts as far as today is concerned. I started the webinar, or the invitation rather, with this quote from Mahatma Gandhi. Each night when I go to sleep, I die. And the next morning when I wake up, I'm reborn. Quite profound quote. But I'm only reborn, I want to add, if and only if I focus on good quality sleep. So who are the experts of whose content or knowledge rather I'm going to share with you? Well, if you Google it, the first name that will pop up is a guy called Matthew Walker. He's a prominent figure in sleep science, and he's a neuroscientist and professor of psychology at the University of California, Berkeley. He's the author of the best-selling book, Why We Sleep, subtitle Unlocking the Power of Sleep and Dreams. So if I use my AI assistant, it tells me that this is what the book is about. It's about exploring the science of sleep and its profound impact on physical and mental health. The book emphasizes the detrimental effects of sleep deprivation and advocates for prioritization of sleep to improve overall wellness. Here's the kicker though. It delves into the biological process of sleep, the importance of sleep for various bodily functions, and the consequences of sleep loss, including increased risk or risks of disease like Alzheimer's and science. And if you at this point still doubted the importance of sleep, in terms of what I've just shared with you, hopefully this will convince you that it is critical that we get good quality sleep and enough of it. According to healthline.com, experts do not know exactly how long a person can live without eating, without food and water, but have, we know that people can survive somewhere between 8 and 21 days, all right, without food and water. So this is what happens, just to link that and to try and indicate how important sleep is. If I type into Google, what happens if we don't sleep for 3 days? This is what happens. Only 3 days. After 3 days of sleep or without sleep, you can expect to experience severe fatigue, cognitive impairment, and potential hallucinations, along with a significant increase in urge, or rather in the urge to sleep. Your perception of reality may become distorted, and you may struggle with simple tasks and decision making. No doubt, we have to take our sleep and our sleep quality seriously. So the question is, what will improve my sleep? Well, many things. Let's see what Matthew Walker talks about when he shares two of those things with us.
But there are probably two really simple things that you can do non-medication that are, if you look at the data, are almost guaranteed to improve your sleep, which is some form of physical activity most days, or at least several days a week. And the second is deal with your anxiety. Mm-hmm. Anxiety is the principal cause of insomnia. It's not the only cause. People who have a high fight or flight activation of their nervous system, they also have high levels of stress chemicals such as cortisol. And that seems to be very predictive of their insomnia. And if you can start to manage your anxiety, for example, meditation is a fantastic practice. People, when they are suffering from insomnia, if you put them into a meditation and mindful practice, you can actually drop the severity of the insomnia in a way that medications, such as even prescription medications, can't come close to. Mm-hmm.
So what will improve my sleep? Just what Matthew Walker tells us or shares is simply regular physical exercise and then dealing with anxiety. And for those of you who have not been with us along the whole journey of the series of webinars that we are presenting, in February last year, I presented a webinar on dealing with stress and anxiety. Please go to our website and go to have a look at its content. So here's another expert, the guy that my eldest son, who is really serious about sleep and the science of sleep, shared with me. Andrew Huberman runs a website, the Huberman Lab, and I can recommend that you go and explore that a little bit further. He's a neuroscientist and professor in the Department of Neurobiology, and he's in psychiatry and behavioral sciences at Stanford School of Medicine. He has numerous significant contributions to the field of brain development, brain function, and neural plasticity, which is the ability of our nervous system to rewire and learn new behaviors, skills, and cognitive functioning. He's got plenty stuff on sleep and sleep quality. If you go to his website on the resources, bottom left, you'll find sleep hygiene. We will find lots of videos, lots of blogs, of which I'm going to share two of them with you. Here's the first one, written last year, how to improve your sleep. And he talks about sleep hygiene basics. And when we talk about light and darkness, he essentially says you need to tell your body that now it's dark, it's time to sleep, or now it's light, it's time to wake up. In essence, he's saying melatonin is a hormone that makes you feel sleepy. It does other things too. Darkness allows the release of melatonin to signal the onset of sleep. Bright light, especially at night, potentially inhibits melatonin. And this causes you not to feel as sleepy, and consequently, you get poorer quality sleep as a result. Then he talks about food and meal timing. The effect of food on sleep largely depends on appetite. circadian rhythm. Go and read up about that and personal preference. Experiment with different foods and timing to see what best supports your sleep and your sleep pattern. Next thing it addresses is caffeine. Caffeine timing is crucial for sleep quality. So if you have trouble sleeping, don't drink caffeine too late in the day. Instead, consume caffeine early in the day and not within 8 to 10 hours of bedtime. I didn't know this up to probably a year ago when my son told me this. I thought it's okay to drink caffeine at night and still expect to sleep well. No, it stays in your system for 8 to 10 hours. Wind down routine. It's important, it's critical. Much like slowing down a car before stopping, a deceleration from the day's activity is essential for good sleep. Establish a wind down routine to prepare the body and mind for sleep. And the first one he talks about is engaging in relaxing activities, such as meditation. I'm reading a book now, by the way, on mindful meditation. It's worthwhile reading. Listening to music, podcasts, sleep stories, and or reading a book. And you will not find in there anything related to blue light, like watching TV, like being on your electronic devices. Avoid stimulating activities, and that's what we're going to get to next, before you go to bed, such as watching television, reading the news on an iPad, strenuous exercise, or social media, and even from a newspaper. Because if you read up about world news, it starts to make you worry about what's going on, and your mind does not stop and always, and then afterwards thinks about it. Alcohol. Alcohol is a sedative, not a sleeping aid. While a nightcap is okay, it impairs the natural structure of sleep. Alcohol also causes fragmented sleep. Here's another source, the Sleep Foundation. We always think, oh, I'll take a nightcap and it's okay. It's not. Look at this. Low amounts of alcohol decreases your quality of sleep by 9.3%. Moderate amounts of alcohol decreases your sleep quality by 24%. And check what happens if you consume alcohol in excess, if you binge. 39.2% of your quality of sleep is affected. My son tells me that there's a student, you might say typical, when they go out to party at night and he has a look and he uses his sports watch, Garmin watch, it tells him that even though he thinks he got 8 or rather 9 or 9.5 hours of sleep, he actually got 4.5 or 5 hours of quality sleep because of the abuse of alcohol. And by the way, just digressing a bit, if you are a snorer, uh, if you drink alcohol, it will become worse. Or even if you're not a snorer, you might become a snorer after drinking too much alcohol. Alcohol consumption can worsen snoring, particularly in individuals who already snore or have sleep apnea. Alcohol relaxes the throat muscles, including the epiglottis, which can obstruct rather airflow and lead to snoring. It can also increase respiratory resistance and reduce oxygen saturation during sleep. Not a good thing to drink and expect that you're going to be sleeping well, right? I'm carrying on with the article, and the heading here is Trouble Falling Asleep. Well, in essence, what they're saying is, and I didn't know this either until I've actually done the research before this webinar, instead of tossing and turning around all the time and after 2-3 hours you can't sleep, rather do this. If it's taken longer than 20 or 25 minutes to fall asleep or back to sleeping, leave your bed and go elsewhere in the house to engage in a relaxing activity. The goal is to prevent an association between a state of wakefulness and your bed, as this can lead to future difficulties falling asleep. Only return to your bed when you are truly sleepy and be mindful then not to fall asleep in another location. You want to relearn the association of sleep with the bedroom. Talking about timing of naps. It tells us that keep your naps, if you want to take an afternoon nap, keep it short and early to mid-afternoon, but not too late. And talking about timing specifically, it basically tells us, I'm not going to read it word by word. It basically tells us to stick to your sleeping routine. Try even over weekends to go to bed at the same time and to get up at the same time, because that gets you in a rhythm and that assists in better sleeping quality. If you try these protocols and don't notice a difference, you may be suffering from a sleeping disorder. And then obviously you need to see a professional because you might have a serious sleeping issue. And then I'm not keen on medicine, especially at first. I always try the alternatives. But it might be in your case that even after you've tried all the things that I've shared with you today and more, maybe, that as a last resort, you need something like a sleeping pill. Here's the second article I want to share with you from Huberman Toolkit for Sleep. And I don't want to go through the rest, but what I found very interesting, and I didn't know this, is that things like magnesium, like slow mag, don't drink it in the morning, drink it in the evenings because it assists you with sleep. Should I get 8 hours of sleep? Is always the prominent or the important question. Well, it all depends. And this video will explain that statement.
That's interesting. So that's referring to more that there should be a consistent habit
Yeah.
versus the total amount. To me, like the entirety of the picture of sleep is similar to nutrition in that it feels like there's so many variables involved and it's so person specific. So, a lot of studies, I mean, this is the way of science, has to look in aggregate the effects on sleep. It doesn't focus on high performers, which are individuals ultimately. Like the question isn't, so it's a very important question is like, what kind of diet fights obesity, reduces obesity? It's another question, what kind of diet allows David Goggins to be the best version of himself? So these high performers in different avenues. And the same thing with sleep. Like people that tell me that I should get 8 hours of sleep, it's like it's I mean I get it, and they may be right, but they may be very wrong. And
There's no evidence that 8 is better than 6. That you could very well do better on 6 than on 8. There are a few other things that turn out to be strong parameters for success in this domain. For instance, your entire life, waking or asleep, is broken up into these 90-minute ultradian cycles. If you look at ability to attend or do math problems or do anything, drive, performance tends to ramp up slowly within a 90-minute cycle, peak, and then come down at the end of that 90-minute cycle. And in sleep, we go through these stage 1, 2, 3, 4, REM, et cetera. We can talk more about that if you like. Those on 90-minute ultradian cycles as well. Ending your sleep after a 90-minute cycle, at the near the end of a 90-minute cycle, say at the end of 6 hours, in many cases is better for you than sleeping an additional hour, 7 hours, and waking up in the middle of an ultradian cycle. And there are a few apps that can measure this based on body movements and things like that, that have your alarm go off at the end of an ultradian cycle. And if you wake up in the middle of an ultradian cycle, sometimes, not always, you can be very groggy for a long period of time. I certainly do better on 6 hours than I do on 7. I happen to like an 8-hour sleep. It feels great, but I haven't slept an entire 8 hours without waking up in the middle of the night at some point in, I don't know, forever. I can't remember. It's probably some point in infancy, but.
So there's enough, you can go Google it. There's enough research to support exactly what Huberman said there around the 90-minute sleep cycle. So here's the last set of experts that I want to share with you. Some ad hoc questions, most of them that came up in my mind around sleep, which might be hopefully assisting you as well. So I'm really going to ask Dr. Google for his assistance, said tongue in cheek. And I'm also going to share some of my own experiences with you. So the first question is, does good quality sleep prolong your life? Well, according to the Mayo Clinic research they did in this article that was written last year, they involved 172,321 adults. And they came to the following conclusion rather. Men who sleeps adequately lives 5 years longer than men who don't. And for women, it's only 2 years for some reason. How to remember things? You might ask, but hang on, what am I on about here? Well, simply, you would know that when you're on a relaxing state, like standing in the shower, or like just before you go to sleep, you start to get all these creative ideas. And you think of stuff that you don't want to remember because it's such a wow idea, typically. Please do yourself a favor, not a phone because it's blue light. Please have a notebook next to your bed or even a recorder, a dictaphone, to record that idea. Or if you need to be quiet because you have a partner next to you, write it down before you go to sleep. Because here's the thing, and you know this. If you don't, you try to remember it the whole night and say to yourself, I'm not going to forget this, not going to forget this. And guess what happens? We forget it in any case. And that caused us not to sleep the whole night because we were so much focusing on it. Next question. What's the effect of sleep on mental health? Well, it's profound. You can go and Google it. We don't have enough time in our short session, but those things appear if we consistently don't get quality sleep. Depression, anxiety, psychotic symptoms, memory loss, serious stuff, right? Effects on mental health. And if I'm too busy, I want to suggest that you don't sacrifice sleep. I would suggest, and that's what I'm doing for a while now. I say to myself, forget it. I drew the line in the sand. I will sleep 7.5 hours. That's what I try to target in terms of those 90-minute cycles. And I try rather to focus on effective personal productivity. Focus on time management, on which, by the way, if you're going to a link that I've shared earlier, that I mentioned earlier, we also did a webinar at some point around personal productivity. Rather focus there as opposed to sacrificing your sleep in order to get done what needs to get done. As opposed to saying, whoa, I've got this presentation of tomorrow, I'm going to sleep 4 hours. No, you should have focused on your personal productivity the week prior to. How do I reduce noise? Well, obviously, it's difficult to sleep in a noisy environment. There are very good technology from an earplug or a point of view or earbud point of view. And some of that are more advanced than others. You can explore those. We're actually thinking of this. We live close enough to a hotel where they party in summertime, especially outside, to get double glazed windows to reduce the noise in order to optimize your sleep quality, to improve your sleep quality. How can I track my sleep? Well, the point is there are many devices, even some smartwatches will be able to track your quality sleep. That's how my son does it, and that's how I gave me the feedback that I mentioned earlier. And what can they track? Look at all these things. In the middle there, they track various metrics such as sleep duration, sleep stages, including light, deep sleep, REM, heart rate, breathing patterns, and even snoring, providing a comprehensive view of your nightly rest. These things are advanced. If you are serious about sleep and sleep quality, you might want to consider getting a sleep tracking device. And the last one I want to share with you before I get into Q&A is what I thought about last night, is the power of the pillow. I mentioned that I traveled a lot over the last 6 weeks, and I have. Wherever I could, like next month I'm going to the bush, a boys trip, I will take my Simmons pillow with. No, I've got no association with Simmons at all. But it's an investment of a pillow. And I've had mine for probably 15 years, and it's still perfectly fine. Because if you have your own pillow, you just get yourself so much closer to good quality sleep, as opposed to having a pillow that makes you sleep or not sleep half of the night, and you end up with a sore back or a sore neck. The right pillow can improve spinal alignment, reduce pain, and enhance comfort, leading to better sleep. Conversely, a poor pillow can cause discomfort, neck pain, and disrupt your sleep. Ladies and gents, that's the end. I think it's for a change. I've kind of stuck to my 27 minutes. I must get our website service provider to update our website, which I haven't done. But if you go to Growth Solutions after end of next week, you will see that I would have listed the next 4 topics for the next 4 months. And please, once again, send me your topics if you would like me to cover some stuff. But the next topic in July will be what makes a good leader. And I will share with you the most recently surveyed priority leadership skills, a survey that I track and I dialed into on the 4th of June when it was released from America. What makes a good leader? Which leadership skills makes a good leader? And I'm not going to get to questions just now. If you are not part of my LinkedIn network, you'll hopefully be able to receive lots of good stuff that will hopefully add value to your life. because that's the game you're in, is to focus on leadership and emotional wellness stuff that can do exactly that. And invite me to join your network, and I will gladly accept. On that note, I'm going to stop sharing. That, ladies and gents, is the end of our presentation. And I basically want to open the floor for any questions that you might have.
Hekkie, I've got a comment.
Mine, go.
Hi, I'm Simon.
Hi.
I on your topic of on the point of getting rid of noise in the evening. My husband and I use a white noise to sleep with, so a bomb can explode next to us or outside. Or actually, last week we've got hens at home. During the
Yeah.
night, Muskeljart cat came
Yes.
and ate two of the chickens. So there must have been a massive racket.
Yeah.
We knew actually absolutely nothing about it. So what I wanted to just point out, another way of getting rid of noise and ensuring sort of a solid state in your bedroom, is a white noise. And of course, there are various nice free apps to use for that.
Yes.
There's
Thank
an
you.
app called White Noise Deep Sleep Sounds, which is free, and you can actually choose. There are hundreds of different white noise sounds, and it just
Perfect.
goes on the whole night. Yeah.
Simon, thanks for that. I was not aware of that. Maybe because I'm 55 and not that tuned into all these tech stuff. I really appreciate it. Please, would you mind popping that word or that name of that app into the chat box, if that's okay?
Yes, I've just done that.
And then yeah, and thanks for that, because it's much cheaper than double glazed windows, right?
Exactly,
Fitting
exactly.
those.
I was. Mhm.
Thank you very much. Much appreciated, Simon. Good one. Thank you.
Welcome. Welcome.
Ladies and gents, anything else? Anybody would like to comment, ask a question, add value like Simon did in terms of the discussion? Got it. Thank you, Simon. White noise, deep sleep sounds. Perfect. Right, ladies and gents, it's as always my privilege and my pleasure to be sharing these things with you. I wish you all the best, and may you have a great weekend. Enjoy the rugby and the F1 and MotoGP for those of you who watch it. But until we meet again, all the best. God bless, and look after yourselves. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Cheerio.
Bye.
Bye bye.